we had a bidding war for the show.
Yeah.
And then we said with it was Warner Brothers, Apple, and then we ended up going with HBO. Again, because I took a job not for the racks.
Yeah.
Just because, and then 5 years later, now I'm probably gonna likely earn my biggest check ever.
Women are so scared to lose. They will fight. No, a lot of people when it's time to divorce, it's like,
They're like,
"Woo,
"Huh."
I made it out.
Yes, yes.
I-
Deuces, my nigga.
Go on, bitch.
Yo, yar. Need to roll this out.
Yeah.
That's a plan. That now everyone is like all the German. They are panicking. They don't know what's happening. There was no. Yo, we're gonna launch. It
No,
just
no
happened.
warning.
No warning.
No warning.
Boom.
But I'll tell you something. You know, being at Censored-Ish is gonna move some things, man.
Your career's about to change,
It's
bro.
going
Like,
to.
for
I
real,
don't know.
thank
You
you.
thought
No, no,
the Charlize. Forget Charlize.
Finally.
Censored-Ish. Oh, like, is not divorce like a thing to say congratulations? Are people sad?
You don't know, actually.
Yeah.
I don't even know if she wanted that out. So I don't know. Is it out?
I think I have heard it before. I don't know if it's out.
I don't know, but wherever we're gonna pick this up from.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't just think people are happy when they divorce. I don't know. I've never seen a person who's like, I'm so sad for real. I think it's always movies, and it's a particular person who writes those types of movies where people are sad about the divorce. But I feel like sometimes
Tyler Perry.
Do you think-
Tyler Perry stuff.
You actually
Yeah.
have the money, yeah.
do you
when
think
people-
movies are being written by people who were divorced?
No,
Like, they
people who
didn't
want
divorce.
to keep in the line that, for example, women are so scared to lose. They will fight. No, a lot of people when it's time to divorce, it's like,
They're like,
"Woo,
huh."
I made it out.
Yes, yes.
I-
Deuces, my nigga.
Go on, bitch.
Yo, yar.
And especially like if there's no kids or kids are old, I don't have to pretend like
Sure.
I'm fighting for the kids. I'm like,
Right.
yo,
Yeah, true.
God, I'm out.
Right,
I can,
true.
I can start my life again. I'm 43. I can still start my
Yeah, I
life.
can
That's
still
so
go.
true. And they're having divorce prize now.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
I actually
Divorce
met
prize.
this couple. Yeah, I met
Yeah.
this couple.
They
bro.
celebrate, bro.
Celebrate.
It's crazy. I met this
They
couple
celebrate.
years back, and we met them there. It's an American and a French guy. They own this big VFX company, and they were basically we met them, and they were having like something like a honeymoon. So they see us. Me and my wife are sitting there. They invite us for drinks. We're chilling there. We think it's gonna be some upside down pineapple stuff. I'll explain
Oh.
that later. But
Okay.
then we go to their hotel. No
Upside
Diddy.
down pineapple.
We go to their hotel, and then they tell us they're celebrating their divorce.
Oh,
Together.
They're
Together.
flying around the world
To
to,
celebrate.
to their dream locations. They just got their divorce. They signed the divorce, and the day they signed it, they went onto a world tour, and they lived together in the same. And they're just celebrating their divorce. They did that for a whole year.
No,
That
I would have
is
told them.
crazy.
Futek.
So like, as a couple.
Yeah,
Oh,
As a couple,
wow.
I would have told them.
So maybe you are
You're
hotter
wasting.
when we separate.
and they
Or maybe
literally said that.
it started with cheating, maybe when they couldn't have each other, and it was nice like that. And then they had each other, and it
Wazi, I think
sucked.
this is your fantasy. this is right.
And then
I want to meet this guy like this.
Are you saying they were maybe trying to get a spark back into their relationship?
it's like, you know what, when we actually do have each other, it sucks. But now that we can at least not have each other, then it's like a sneaky vibe.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You know what they did say is that they found that they forgot that they were friends before they were lovers, and this reminded them of their friendship, and they're enjoying. They actually remember that. Oh, we actually like you.
Yeah, I can't hold myself anymore. Let's talk about this under the
Yeah,
pineapple.
under pineapple.
Yeah.
What's the pineapple?
Can we swear on this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Fuck, good.
Yeah.
I think when you remove fucking and sex from stuff, you get to have a cleaner sort of sense of a person.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I think the best conversations are in a strip club.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Like with
okay,
the
Yes,
understand.
that's true. That's
Yes,
true. That's
I
very
think the
true.
ladies, because
Yeah.
already the thing that you would be lying about is going to happen.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can just have a good conversation with somebody.
Is that why people open
You're
up
right.
to strippers?
Yeah.
Okay, so upside down
Yeah,
pineapple.
Pineapple.
We
how
need
do you
to.
get inside the pineapple?
Well, no, stop. Firstly, so
Upside
if
down.
you see an upside down, my bad. If you see an upside down pineapple at a house, know that it's for swingers. It's the sign for swinging.
Oh wait, so you are ready to swing that?
No, we weren't. So we just
He was
sussed
ready
them
to
out.
swing it.
I was like, nah, they weren't that hot.
All right.
No. But I was just so we checked if it's an upside down pineapple shandy. We're like, laba. And they're wealthy as well. And
Yeah.
and you know,
Married couples. You're
they
the
love that
freaky
stuff.
thing.
Yep.
They
So
love
you're
that stuff.
driving up people's houses just looking for pineapples.
No, when you enter the house,
The
when you
Kate,
enter
like
the
the
house,
Kate has
Yeah.
upside down
That's where they
pineapple.
put it.
that's
By the
weird.
door,
Why
I
is that
think.
pineapple upside down?
Every morning a fresh pineapple.
Maybe it's on the day they arrange.
So it's like the bad signal for swingers.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
Yes.
crazy.
Google it.
No,
Would
but
you,
but
would you swing?
No,
Nah.
not now. I don't think.
What do
nah.
the white stones, the ones who put white stones in front of their houses, what does that mean?
Wait, you're
I don't know.
gonna skip through the part that he said not
Now
now.
we're just gonna fuck up
This man-
everyone's houses. Those with green walls. What
Green
does
walls.
that mean? What does it mean?
Those who have
Those
no
with-
fences.
Yeah, what does
does
it
that
mean? See-through gates. What does that
Now I
mean?
went on Wi-Fi. Like,
Yeah, but-
Wait, so when you
are
say
those
you wouldn't
symbols?
swing not now?
yeah. I think now I'm chill. Like, when I was younger, I was a bit more like I was very experimental, no diddy. But yeah, I think I was much more open to stuff. I think I've explored quite a lot of my life in terms of like experiences, you know.
Yes, yes.
But because I think like now I'm like nothing is
You sowed your seeds already.
Oh,
Out of
wow.
I'm not
your
even
system.
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
Okay,
Panch.
cool.
Huh?
Nice.
You
Sowed
your
these seeds
seeds.
everywhere.
Jeez.
How many
Jeez.
seeds did you leave behind for your wife?
business.
How much? How many?
Seeds, she'll see. She'll see. Mrs.
Tuzo
When it's time
bona
to
bona.
fuya,
Then she'll be like, "Hi,
Oh.
boy."
Hey, she'll see at my funeral.
Yo. But I don't know about swinging with your partner, bro.
Oh, I know someone.
Oh no.
Yeah. I
What are you
also,
talking about?
yeah.
Someone-
leave it. Yo,
So
like,
good.
because my thing is, like Kevin Hart said it on a thing. Like, dude, when you see someone put in work on your person
That's
And the
crazy
person
work.
receiving
and
that work.
receiving that,
Crazy work.
because there's a thing. I don't know if you
You'd have
saw
to
this
cast.
story.
Make sure they got small shandies.
Small, yeah.
You'd have to
yeah.
look at all the ticks. You just for your own mental health.
No, but it's sometimes like it's not even about the size, right? So if you can get someone who you think, but they know what they're doing, and they make your person squirt, you've been married 5
that's
years.
even worse,
She's
actually.
never, you didn't even know she could
They're
squirt.
smaller than you, and they're just waterworks.
And now you hear, you're
An
like, oh,
excuse.
and she's also shocked because she
Just you
didn't know.
getting sprinkled on the side.
Because there was a thing.
That's
There was
true.
a story. I don't know if it's true.
Uh-huh.
A story. It's a bit dark, but
Yeah.
it's about a couple and they got broken into their house, and then these dudes decided to go left with it, and
Oh,
then
This
did
got dark
something.
real quick.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did something to the wife, but
Ah.
then she orgasmed during.
Yeah.
That's
and then-
mad work.
Now after it's
Can
like,
happen during abuse.
yeah,
Really?
your body
That's
can let you
crazy.
down. Yeah,
Mm.
but then now
Oh, wow.
it's her and him now afterwards,
But you
and
can't-
Yo,
but
yo,
in that
yo, yo,
instance,
yo,
though, I
right.
feel like you gotta understand.
That's
as
so
well.
sad now.
Yeah.
Now you're
Right,
gonna
right.
be reenacting robberies all the
Come on.
time.
I was mad.
And you know what? It probably did start a
No.
fetish.
Now
It
you're gonna
probably-
the husband. You're
Oh,
gonna
no.
learn. You're gonna
I
learn.
was-
In your own house.
Was he mad?
In your own house.
That's so dark.
That's
No, no,
Now
no.
you gotta like tie some pillows and make
I
it look like it's you tied behind.
You have to crawl up windows. You yourself. You are the father of this house, but you gotta, because now you're
It's dark.
chasing for that.
Yeah.
That is sad.
And then you're role playing and they break into your house.
Oh,
for real.
no.
Nah.
Divorce. It's time for swinging now.
That's
Yes.
the only way she can cheat
Pineapple,
now.
pineapple,
Pineapple,
pineapple.
pineapple.
So what's the sign for that fetish? A TV on the window. Just like, welcome into the house to
A black
steal.
plastic bag.
you guys are wrong, bro.
So you recently did the Imbogoto series.
Word.
Yes?
Yeah.
The comic
book.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to break down what a
How
lead.
many are out?
The second one's coming out now. We've got one book out. So just to explain, it's like a comic book series.
Yeah.
It's basically so long story but short. When I was an actor and I was doing pretty okay, I realized that none of the projects I had made I was profiting from. After you
After
shoot,
shooting,
it's
yeah.
done.
Yes,
The money's
yes,
gone.
yes, yes,
I
yes.
hated that. You
Yeah.
know, I hated it. And so I just did my whole entire acting career. I was like, I never want to be in something where people are constantly making money off of me and I'm not. You know, so then I decided I was going to take a break and learn how to produce and stuff like that. Went broke really quickly, went back and moved in my mom's back room with my wife, my current wife. And while we were
Oh,
back
whoa.
there, yeah, she came with me. And, you know, and this is after Kalushi and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know,
Wow.
yeah, she's like, yo, I'm like, hey,
crazy.
man. I'm like, he's like,
We're
let's go.
here now. Yeah,
She's like,
that's
let's go. No,
fire,
she was like, let's go.
Oh
That's
man,
beautiful.
that's beautiful.
So we were there in my back room, and I just remember thinking, I need to write my own stories, but I wanted to write them for her to be the star of them in.
Aw.
So I just started looking at the women that she inspired me from, like real warrior women from across Africa. So I researched all these amazing warrior women, Manta TC from Lesotho, who, you know, my partner's from Lesotho. Muchaji, you know, Amina from Nigeria, you name it. I looked at all this and I found like thousands of these warrior women princesses. And I love detective stories. So then I wanted to make them heroes because I was like, you know, we hear about the heroes from all around the world. We never hear about our heroes. So I was like, if I make them comic book heroes, I think then your average person will go research them if they look cool and then find out that it's a real person and get to know Mantatisi, Nandi, Muchaji.
And then they're there. They're not just like, they're there.
Because that's what we do. We don't mythologize our heroes. I'm like, do that thing like, mwah. Like, I mean, you think of James Bond, that's a mythical hero, but he represents Britain. Presents England, you know what I mean? Same with, you know, the American heroes. They've got like Superman is a symbol not just of like the mythology, but the idea of an idea. My level example.
You go give me.
Give me all.
Give me.
Yeah. So, but long story short, I came up with this comic book series. What was meant to be a TV show, but I thought about it as like an IP, like where it can be like video games, comic books, TV shows, or whatever. Long story short, I ended up pitching it to Miss Charlize Theron. She signed on board.
Whoa.
We then went to go to she said we're going to do a comic first so we can secure the IP.
Yeah.
And then I pitched to Marvel, DC, you name the biggest comic book houses, and we settled with Dark Horse because they let us keep our IP. So we keep enjoying the IP, and like the deal was like super. And then we have to make a movie or a series within 5 years of signing the contract.
Wow.
So it was a great contract. My business partner Tabiso Mabana negotiated it. So so that's where we're at with Mbogot.
That's
how does the meeting with Charlize happen?
Yeah. Did she come to your bedroom or where,
Yes.
where did you host?
She knocked.
Tabo here, but she went to the front desk.
Did you put away your upside down pineapple? We just want to know.
Just whatever you think.
Right.
So how did that meeting come to be?
Cool. It's a long story. I'm gonna try to be quick. It's very long.
Yeah. We need to do a lot of jokes.
It's long and boring. But essentially, I always wanted to cast only born and raised Africans in the show.
Okay.
Right? I didn't want to like get a British Nigerian or a British South African or like I wanted people who were born and raised here. If you're from Nigeria, if you're playing the Nigerian queen, you must be born and raised.
Nigeria.
The reason being, I wanted kids from here to see themselves like that. Whereas if they see some kid from another like a first world country, it's not for them. It's like, I'll never be able to do that. So I think it was important. But they won't let me do that without a big star.
Damn. I'm available, man.
Okay, now I don't know, bro. I don't know.
He's got heart, man. He's got heart. He's got heart. So you know, he's there with you.
But so eventually, I always said I wanted the only way I could do it is for the main villain to be played by a South African actress, and I thought of Charlize, Oscar winner, superstar. So I said if I can get her to be on the show, they'll let me cast anybody, even unknowns, because she's a big enough star to carry the whole show.
Yeah.
What white woman superheroes South Africans?
You're assuming one that
I want to know.
Hero. You're assuming she's
But Charlize is going to be. Who is she playing?
I said I pitched her for
the
villain.
Okay.
The villain.
Okay, I was like, Karen?
It's taking the land.
But the villain was based on a Hungarian duchess called Elizabeth Bathory. If you research her, she's said to have killed 2,000 girls.
But also, I'm joking.
Blood.
I know all white women are villains.
Bathe in their blood.
Bathe in the blood for youth, but
that's Cruella levels.
But that was like some cap. Anyway,
right.
Eventually, so then I run the story past a lady called Amanda Lane. She's like, she's created a lot of stuff. She's one of the people who's also helped me on a writing journey. And I was like, Amanda, I really want to, make sure I can cast South Africans. I need Charlize. She's like, I know someone who knows Charlize. I was like, my manager.
Like
Then I spoke to a manager. I pitched the idea, and the manager's like, okay, I don't actually know Charlize, but I know somebody who does. And I went to go pitch that, but you can't mention Charlize. And I went. The lady's name was Aletta Alberts. She's since passed. Aletta Alberts is famous for bringing Pokemon to this country, but also she was the person who helped Charlize get to America when she was 16. She was the person who took her.
Pokemon was a crazy thing in South Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
Big things.
With the
Tazos.
Tazos.
Before your time.
Yeah.
Before your time.
And the spooky stories about it.
It was cap. But anyway, then we eventually I pitched the story to her. She said she'd never sent anything to Charlize. She thought this was a good idea. Then she arranged a meeting for 6 months. It took 6 months for Charlize to read it. Pitched it to her. She says, I'm on board. And she brought her home. And we had raised 200 million for the project already at that time.
Yeah.
She told us, get rid of all of that. If it's me, it's only me. Drop all the funding, drop all the partners, it's just me. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we dropped everybody. We dropped the 200 million. Went with her, and yeah, that's the journey.
What is she bringing more than
That's
200?
dope.
She's gonna give you more.
Yeah, you know what I love about Americans? It's a weird thing. They don't actually ever talk about money.
Oh, yeah?
And I think it's a little bit
Really?
like how rich people are like.
Yeah.
You know, rich people never talk about money. Like people not even rich. I think wealthy people barely talk about money. They discuss an opportunity, how to explore it, it's a very different conversation. And then you realize that the money isn't the problem. Like they're not worried about where the money is. Like, no, don't worry about that. Honest to God, I don't think we've ever spoken about money until it was a point of contract stuff, and it was just like, oh, this is what you get. I'm like, cool, that was it. Like, there's money is like not a thing. They know if they believe in it and believe in the people who make it. When you hear people talk like, I've got this, I've got that, you must just know they don't have money.
That's what I always say though, like for creatives, like I wish because I think why that is because the thing can be done. So the focus is making the thing dope,
happen.
right? This can be done.
100%.
And I wish it's my wish for every creative that get rid of the financial burden to be able to express yourself and not worry about the thing.
But the thing is, we create out of hunger or the rush of paying a bill at a certain time, and then you start calling people like, hey, we don't have a budget, we need to do this now. How do you stop doing that? Because I feel like it's so far gone, especially in entertainment.
But the other side of that also is we let go of things because of hunger. So if I'm to approach you and say, yo, my dog, this is a thing.
I'm working
You're
on this.
thinking, but I've got a bill. I can't take this.
Which you get, right?
You get what I'm saying? And I understand it. That's why I wish that there was no...
Well, so that's actually kind of the ethos of why I don't even refer to myself as an actor anymore and a filmmaker. I think I went through the last journey where I don't really care if I'd release anything, if the audience feels like that. I'll release stuff or make movies as I feel like it. And the main reason is because I don't depend on acting as my life anymore. So I can pick the roles I want. And that was purposeful, you know, to make sure I don't go back to my mom's back room. I think the one thing, whenever I'm asked to like give talks, I don't know why, give talks. The one line I'll always say is, don't just understand your job, understand your industry. And I think that's the biggest problem with us as artists is that we just think I'm an actor, I'm a comedian, I'm a singer. But where's the money that's paying you coming from? Like track that journey. Like, wait, how are they paying me actually? Let me actually understand how this is. If you can follow the money backwards and you're like, I'm in the wrong part of this chain.
You know, I've done that, and I was like,
the end.
Yes. Then I went back to reverse engineering. It goes the same with comics. You know, I just stand on comedy for 3 seconds. But it goes with acting is that I think of acting and movies, they started with just the performer. Before there was the producer director, it was the performer going to different villages or around the fire, telling the story, doing the makeup, writing it, doing the whole thing. The more we let go of doing all these things, the back of the line we became. We need to go back to claiming the entire value chain of the creation, not being lazy in that. Because if you think you're going to make money just by being one part of that thing, you're lying. You have to wait for a phone call for the rest of your life.
But then that's
bars.
That also means taking on more responsibility.
On risk as well.
Taking on risk as well.
Yes. To your point about, you know, they got to pay a bill at the end of the month. It's like, I'll give you an example. I'm doing an HBO show now, right? Also happened, this is crazy. When I read for the role, it was during that time when I was in my back room.
I need to get to a back room.
You need to get to a back room.
I need a back room fast.
For real.
I just found out today I'm in the right place in life. I'm doing well.
You're doing very well.
But while I was in the back room, I got called to come read this comedy thing, and it wasn't paying anything. And then I just was so happy that I can try to do some comedy, you know, on film. So I was like, I'm gonna go and do it. And like people were like, oh, you can't do this thing. Well, now you're there. I was like, screw my age. I just did it myself and I read for it. Years later, we shot this pilot, and then the writer and creator just said to me, hey, dude, can you help me write this thing? I think I'm a bit too white to write the story. So we spent 3-4 years writing it, and then we shot that sizzle, we cut that sizzle, sent it out to America, and then I got my management team, which is Brostein. They managed like Brad Pitt and George Clooney. They signed me from that. They signed the show, and that show now was pitched. We pitched to everybody. HBO. We had a bidding war for the show, and then we said with it was Warner Brothers, Apple, and then we ended up going with HBO. Again, because I took a job not for the racks, just because. And then 5 years later, now I'm probably gonna likely earn my biggest check ever from being like on a show like this for so long. So it's like being able to choose when you're not, even when you're starving, still like Yeah, as long as I put myself out there,
Yeah.
it's better than staying at home and saying
Yeah.
no. You know?
I think it's also like as a reminder of how long this thing can take and how much patience you need.
Yo.
You know, it's like when your family sees you at an interview and they're like, oh, finally,
Yeah,
bring
something.
like
You're
take
like,
it easy.
oh.
Give me another
that's
7
7,
years.
yeah,
please.
You know, it
Yeah,
takes
yeah.
time.
It does.
It does.
That's why when I coach kids in acting, I didn't study, so I don't, again, don't trust these institutions.
Right.
But I always tell them something.
That's all they say when they don't have the papers.
Yeah,
I don't trust these institutions.
I'll do it myself.
But I always tell the kids, like, if you're an artist, when you get your first paycheck, even if your parents are rich, the first thing you do, take 10% and just give it to your
Just give
parents.
it to them, yeah.
And they're like, no, why? What if I don't have money? If they don't need it? I'm like, it just tells your parents that you're going to be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
It tells them like, oh, if my kid has got enough disposable income to send me something, they're onto something, and I can see they're responsible enough. It buys you a lot of time because there's going to be those times where you do have to go back to the back room, to your mom's room. And she's like, you know what? I know when it happens for you, you're going to do the right thing. Those little small gestures, they go a long
Even if
way.
it's lunch.
Even if it's lunch.
Yeah, even if it's lunch.
True.
Lunch. Yeah.
True.
Because sometimes I feel like we think whatever you have is too small or too insignificant. You think like, oh no, what is 1,000 rand?
That's a
You
lot
know,
of
like,
money.
That's a
bro.
lot of money, bro.
what is
50
500
rand is a
rand?
lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a lot of money.
We I think it's also the social media numbers. It makes you not appreciate things. It's like 100 people is people. 100 rand is 100 rand.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying about the social media audience. I'll give you, this is the guys from a certain streamer told this about me.
Yeah.
So they were saying to me that I have like, I think 2 of the most viewed films in all of Netflix Africa's history.
Nice.
And I found that interesting. But then they send us a questionnaire to fill in about if we felt like the movies had increased our social media. And they didn't. It didn't change my social media at all. And you know,
Yeah.
Netflix didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting. They were saying like it doesn't matter. Because the audience who follows films follow you for films, and that's in the millions.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if you're a small audience, they don't represent your actual value. Because
Yeah.
maybe your audience
100%.
isn't the audience that's doing this. Maybe your audience isn't the social media audience. You know, it's sometimes people are just live. Like if I see this person live, I'm like, we know lots of great
Yeah.
comics whose social media is like this big, but you see them
Yeah.
live, they
Then
kill.
you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Murderers.
Yeah.
You're just
Okay.
like, that's a
And
murder.
they have an audience.
They have a
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
legitimate
Real
audience.
actual audience. Yeah.
But I have heard you say before that you feel like there's a relationship that should exist between influencers and actors.
I love it. Yeah.
Do you think like that's an actual thing that also works for comedians? How do you think
Everybody.
that works?
Everybody. And I think I don't think our industry is big enough to say, nah man, why are you letting these influencers take our job here? They're not real comedians or they're not real actors. I think that's the dumbest way of seeing something. The way I see something is, okay, these guys figured out how to be funny. These guys figured out how to act. These guys figured out how to garner a massive audience and keep them like captive. Imagine we just combined all these people.
Yeah.
These guys teach these guys how to get an audience. These guys teach these guys how to be funny. And all of a sudden you have, and then they're all trading skill sets.
Yeah.
Right? And in my mind, I'm just like, why not chill with a primo and say, bro, how you doing this? You know what I mean? How you getting 19 million views every month, bro? You know what I mean? It's like, I got these crazy gags. He's like, Ish, man, I'm also want to spice up my gags. Like, all right, bro, can I write a few for you?
Yeah.
And then I'll feature in your clips. Yeah, come through. All of a sudden now you guys are leveraging off each other's skill set, which is where I disagree with Bob Jerry. And then they're like, stop giving influences. I'm like, hell no. We need to figure out how these kids are tapping into, or just everybody into this audience, bring them there. And then guess what? The people who are following the actors and respect the actors start looking at the influencer like, man, this person didn't actually do so bad. Let me follow the content. Let me see how this person is doing. And if the actors help him really be a good actor, that synergy just works.
I think it's just not having the language to say it like that. I don't think they are like, no, don't employ these kids or stuff like that. But there is a balance that's needed in how do you employ these people, and just the languaging of, we do need each other, we do need to collaborate, we just need to find a way how
A way to make it
work
make
for
sense.
everybody.
Like,
Also,
maybe in their view, it doesn't make sense how you're gonna get an influencer to play a lead role in a big production when you have certain people who actually know how to do it better.
Yeah.
I mean, even there you got to be clever, right?
Yeah.
Because if you put the influencer in a lead role and they suck, you damage their brand.
Yes.
So I'll give you an example of, I don't think this person, Mrs. Mops. You guys know a lady called Mrs. Mops? She does reality TV. She's one of the most beautiful human beings to have ever been created in real life. And I say this with great respect. Like, I've never seen anyone who looks like her. But she is on a reality TV show. I don't know, something with the housewives. and then something with babies. Anyway, doesn't matter. What's important is that she's always wanted to be an actor, and apparently she was. So my team, when I said I want to cast somebody, they're like, and I always say, can you mention some influences? And they're like, what about Mrs. Mops? And so I casted her, and I had a meeting with her, and I was like, yo, come through. And I checked out, and she was incredible.
Yeah.
And then I was like, can I give you another role that's going to be a bit bigger than the next one?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the next one, I'll give you a bigger one. And then on the third movie, I'd like you to be a lead. And she's like, thank you, because I don't want to look like a
that makes
fool.
more sense.
Yeah.
So it's about grooming them. But it's the same way that you can't take Denzel and just give him TikTok.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're
Yeah.
also going to have to walk him through, like, okay, Denzel, you can feature on Timothy Chalamet's page or whatever for now, or Kiki Palmer's page, and figure out how she's doing it. You've got to walk people through a journey. It's the same with stand-up comedy. You know, you can't just go on, or some people are lucky enough to just go on stage and just kill first night, which is a unicorn stuff.
Right.
But yeah.
How was your first night?
I died, bro.
I was like, right.
How was yours?
I had a good time. Yeah. I still remember my first show.
Where?
It was in Melville. It was Monday night comedy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that was 6. No,
Puppies.
Puppies.
Yeah.
Puppies. I remember
The
the
end,
Puppies.
yeah.
Oh, I
Just
love
before it
Puppies.
ended.
Oh, shout out to Puppies.
Yeah.
You closed after that shooting, no?
Yeah.
Yes, and then they
that
opened.
was bad for
Somewhere else.
reputation,
Yeah, it was so
man.
bad.
Yeah.
It was-
Sad.
Love Puppies. That was a good venue. My first set was at Kitchener's when Kitchener's still used to do. When Kitchener's,
night.
those Tuesday nights.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
How did that
crazy.
go?
I killed. Funny.
Really?
But I bombed the second time with the exact same sets in a different room.
That's
That's
it.
comedy.
I was like, what? And I thought I was doing better.
Right.
Oh,
Oh, that's it, bro.
yo, that was crazy. I was like, I
Comedy
killed.
feels like moving from one partner to the next. When you getting used to this person and this is how we start, and then you're like, I'm taking my sex moves to Punch. I
That-
Punch.
Like, you know inside.
was like,
Limaza wazi, man.
like, what's going on? I've done these moves.
Limaza wazi. Ulumelani, man.
I know this words. Not on me. Not on me.
Yeah.
Nah, bro.
How long did you do stand up for?
Not long. I think I probably did it 3-4 times after that.
Shut up.
And,
What are we
that was
talking
it.
about, Jay?
okay, I'll tell you why. So the only reason I did
He
it
was
is
busy with HBO and Charlie's.
How can I go to Kitchener's
I'm
after Charlize was at my place
Nigerian
with the upside down
superheroes.
pineapple? Hi, man, respect me, man.
Don't got time for this.
funny enough, I grew up watching stand up my whole life, like
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy, Raw, Delirious. That was a very big influence on me. But then even listening to George Carlin tapes, I wasn't a big Richard Pryor fan. I don't know why.
I remember arguing with you about this.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
wasn't
understand how.
Yeah, I'm not.
Why? Okay, all right. Finish off.
But,
We'll
yeah,
go back,
but to mention it, I feel like it's deep.
Yeah. And I think maybe
Yeah.
I liked early Chris Rock. I definitely liked early Chappelle. Still enjoy Chappelle now. And then now as I've gone on, as more to like the Louis C.K.'s, the
South African?
South African. I loved Eugene Koza. I think
Eugene
he's
is
a
fire
very
as
slept
well,
on
bro.
comedian. I think he's a
Fire.
very strong comedian. I liked early Trevor Noah. He found the balance. Certain sets of David Gow. I think early David Gow was amazing. In that, because at that time we hadn't heard. I'm a bit older. We hadn't heard that kind of.
Seems like you like people in their prime, and then when they grow, it's like it's over 25. no
Yeah,
more.
I do that Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, Leonardo with-
I'm an actor.
Uh-uh.
No, you know what? I have to even. I think all
Sometime.
of us have our moment because people change. Chris
Yeah.
Rock's humor in the beginning was unapologetic, biting. And then as he got older, more conservative, his comedy got. That's the thing about comedy, right?
Yeah,
Especially that style of comedy, which is narrative. It's mostly about your perspective. Like, I don't find Jerry Seinfeld funny. I've never laughed at a single Jerry Seinfeld joke in my life.
Have you watched the last time I do those jokes?
Yes.
Didn't find that funny.
Bunch is
Don't
offended
find it
right now.
funny at all. You know, and then you watch like the guys who've been drafting along, the Goliath brothers and all these guys who've been chipping away. And you'll find pockets of beauty. Joey Rastine, you can find something of him there. You know, you'll find some great guys. But yeah. But so that's kind of, long story short, how I got into doing stand-up. I kept watching all those comics. And then in my hood where I live, there's two guys that I think, you know, Muzi Lamini and Stig.
Oh, they're
yeah,
family, yeah.
yeah.
They're,
Right.
they're
Like
like
pretty much-
what, uncle and
Uncle and nephew.
and
yeah.
nephew,
yeah.
So they used to rap. I think you guys know that. Like, in
Oh,
South-
is it team?
Oh, now
that
you just
family is
changed our lives.
disgusting.
Now we have to find the text.
Muzi was one of the most brutal battle rappers in the history. He
Ah,
was feared. He was
No.
feared.
No.
Dead serious.
Ah.
Stig was like the little brother. When
Yeah.
Stig came, it was like, hey, bro. And they used to just murder people. So in my
Crazy.
in Nokem, so the school we went to, Pretty Uglies from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big Star Johnson's from there. Like there's a lot of like it's
Pretty
it's-
ugly, but got Thabo Rametsi.
Yeah, I would say so.
Really?
Guys,
Also, like they're going bar for bar. with the
yeah.
hype. So
Frank
that's-
Casino's
Casino's from there. Yeah. Nah, no. So anyway, but I went to them. And I knew they were doing stand up. I was like, guys, I have a bucket list dream. I just want to do one set. I never want to do it again.
Yeah.
Can you help me? Like, teach me. And they just walked me through the fundamentals of comedy, how to do a joke, design a joke. And they got me a gig at Kitcheners.
Kitcheners.
They didn't know my material though. So
Right.
what I always give them credit for is like they never wanted to hear my jokes. They said, I don't want to hear your jokes. I just want to understand that you understand the model. And they literally came through and they watched me and I killed. I just went. And I remember TC was there. He's like, bro, you should do this for a living. I'm like, nah, bro. Because I also felt it was like lightning in a bottle. When you kill, because I appreciated it only when I bombed a few times after.
Yeah.
Killing is a spiritual thing because it's about like how your mood is in the day, how the crowd is, if it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever. And it was just lightning in a bottle. The crowd just went crazy. And then I tried to chase that feeling, and I knew I shouldn't be doing this because I didn't do that with my acting. I didn't chase the crowd.
Instant gratification is quite a track.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Just, for comedy.
Comedy is the only, it's the result of to know whether you're doing
And
well
those
or not.
lows are lows.
No, they're low, bro.
The lows are lows.
They're
Yeah.
low. They're
That
so
silence?
low. Yeah, bro. They're so low that even if you have a mid gig, you didn't bomb.
Yes.
It's still you leave feeling like
bro.
crap, I should quit this.
100%.
Yeah.
This
So
sucks.
it's your
And the higher you go, the more you feel like it has to stay at that level.
yeah.
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 So as long as it's mid, as long as it's not at that level, you always feel like, yo, I'm
like
shit. tonight.
I'm crap.
And
But
then-
I could going back to the spiritual part of the thing.
Yeah.
I feel it like when I'm like, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna be a bad gig.
Mm.
I don't know
And
what it
all the time it is.
Even sometimes when you're leaving your house.
Yeah,
You're
Yeah,
not
like,
fine.
yeah.
you're
You're
like,
not
nah,
fine.
man.
You're just like,
It's like this
And then
is
when you
not
kill,
gonna
it's the
be-
same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It's like you feel there's a calmness.
right.
Because the
Yeah.
3-4 times that I did do well, I was so relaxed.
Mm.
I was so calm. But then the moment where I was like, oh no. And I also think maybe like knowing there's certain comics in the crowd, like I think the second time Gagisho was there, a lot of guys I respected. So there was this expectation to do well. So I think I was hitting the jokes a bit too hard. My
Early
delivery was-
on, the comics do affect you, but
Yeah.
the more you go,
You get used
the
to
more
it.
you can
Yeah,
just
the more you're like,
Yeah.
I've
Take
seen
them
you
off your
die.
life.
I've seen you die.
I've seen-
Come on. Man. So wait, why not Richard? Why what don't you like about
I
it?
don't know. I don't like him. I just don't think he. You know what it's like? It's like Aries and Nasty C. Sorry to make it a
Oh,
weird thing.
yesterday I did think about this a lot.
Oh, did you?
Myself.
That
No,
came
no, I'm
from
always
deep
arguing
within
with
your
myself.
soul.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
loves
yeah,
bars.
She
Yeah.
was
She
something.
said something. Like,
Oh no! I'm always arguing about rappers.
Yeah,
right.
please, I love.
She loves bars.
Me too. I'm a big hip hop fan. But you know why I struggle with? Oh, you guys are gonna kill me for this. I don't relate with J. Cole.
Oh,
Yo?
Oh,
gets
Okay.
deeper.
I think Kendrick's I. Okay.
Yes,
here's
I
why.
agree.
Here's why.
Oh,
You agree with?
Kendrick is.
Oh, shut up! You
But
love,
give me
love
one.
R. Kelly.
you love R.
What?
What's wrong with Kels,
Diddy
man?
is your favorite rapper.
I had nothing to discuss with you. You love the Bora.
Kendrick is.
Please.
But so why I'm using those as analogies to Richard Pryor as well is like I think there's certain styles of music or hip hop which like I think I put Aries, J. Cole, to an extent Kendrick, whatever, where it's more descriptive perspective rap. Like I have to see the world the way you see it to fuck with your music. Like Aries is very narrative. He tells you about like what he's going through. He's not like a punchline simile kind of rapper, you know. So I've really got to have a perspective of like either backpack rapper life or whatever to relate to his music. Whereas there's rappers that can just create a song. There's rappers who can just hit you with like a straight up, like that's why I love Anthony Jeselnik. It's a clear setup, misdirection, and then bam, this killer punchline at the end.
yeah.
So I appreciate that. With Mr. Pryor, I feel like he was just telling me this drug addict guy who set himself on fire. Like he was telling me a clear perspective of his life. I didn't relate with his life. So I'm not saying he's not a good comedian. I'm just saying I don't connect with it. I don't.
Okay.
Oh,
and maybe
so-
that perspective can be stretched throughout the career where you don't see the person going through other perspective. It's like the person is telling you one story for 40 years. Not that I'm saying
that was
Richard
a
is
big
that, but I'm
yes.
just
Yeah,
maybe
that's
even back
100%.
to rap. It's like album after album, this guy is
back-
telling me
Guni no
the same
backpacker.
story. It's like the album after album is intense rapper. Ngendlela
Insane.
ngirapper ngayo. I'm like,
I
"But
feel
nigga,
like-
rapper, vela."
I feel like that about Buster.
Yeah.
Busta
I
Rhymes.
hear you, I
Yeah,
hear you, I hear
yeah.
you, I
It's
hear
it's the same repetitive.
Yeah.
Give me something else. Like,
Yeah.
You know who I love who's been telling the same story for years though? Bill Burr.
Oh, he's
oh
fantastic.
yeah.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
same
fantastic.
story
Same
for
story.
Right.
years.
He's
No,
just
that's
an angry.
Yeah,
No, no,
yeah,
no,
and
you're
also
right,
the
actually,
things that
you're
he's
right.
going through. Like you were going through this 20 years ago.
Right.
You know, what I mean, he keeps
No,
talking
that's
about
a
how
true
he's
point.
slowly trying to grow.
But also, we
Right,
as
right.
artists as well. I don't know why sometimes we want to act immune to how we receive other artists or art. Like we also are personal people. Like
Yeah.
some sounds don't land as easy as they do on your ear. Like
Yeah.
there's some
100%,
voices that
100%.
I find for me, and the person can be doing art, but it's just like I receive it better from a voice like this,
exactly.
from a
No, that's very
sound
true.
like this,
Yes,
from a.
yes.
We're not immune to that. We also.
I mean, that's where it comes in, like people like Drake having writers, right?
Yeah.
It's like that person could have done that song, but
Yeah.
they don't have his cadence.
Delivery.
They don't have his
Yeah.
delivery. So you
Do you
feel
think he
like
does have writers?
no, he's
Everyone has
admitted it.
writers. No, it's a
I don't understand this thing
admitted it.
of people suspecting Drake of having writers. He could have writers. I mean, like, come
No,
on.
he
He
said
could write
it.
that as
We-
well.
We're
Like,
not, we're not
it's
suspecting.
I think he does.
No,
He
he
said
said it.
Oh,
he has
okay.
writers.
No, but hold
I
on.
should. Like,
But
I don't
everyone
like Drake.
does, guys. Okay, hold on. You think Kendrick? Can I ask you
I
guys
don't
a real
like
question?
Drake.
You think
I
Kendrick
love Drake.
really just be sitting on his own, creating choruses and melodies for the whole song? You think the song from beginning to end is just Kendrick?
And for the thing to be
No.
creative, it needs research. It
That's
needs
what I was
people
about
to
to
go
say.
outside. There are places that I can no longer go as Kendrick, right? There are streets that I can no longer walk. I need people to bring that into me. Just like a comic, the bigger you get, sometimes when you're traveling the whole world, you will have
Yeah.
your six that can still touch the ground and bring stuff back to you, and then we make it also your voice and your perspective.
Yeah.
Not that like I'm saying Drake is somebody, but
Yeah. But I also like it's like
Yo, the hate is real.
Go sit there.
I respect
Are
both
you
of them.
consider-
But even comics, you see the higher level they get, they also do gag polishes and they'll just run like a great gag and say, listen, I've got this gag and then run it through maybe a young comic just to give it a polish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's done, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
You're like you run a joke about or like to someone, you're like, okay, it's not landing, but maybe if you pause here or if you remove this part, it might land better.
Right,
I don't
right.
think there's anything wrong with it. Like
There's
art is
nothing wrong. I
collaborative.
come to Q all the time and like, yo, Q, I've got this joke about violence as a man.
And Q's the right man to go to for that
Yeah.
type of advice.
So when you
know
beat
what
your
I mean?
partner,
When you backhand, how does it?
Like,
does your wrist hurt?
yeah.
or is
I
it?
want to know
Is
from
it
the.
quick? No, that bit is fine, right? That's I think the way they say, because like what I've seen happens with producers like Pharrell. I don't remember what song it was, man, with Nelly, and he was like, no, this is what we're doing. Then Nelly fits in the verses.
Sure.
But the thing of the thing, yes, I get that. Where I don't think, man, they would necessarily write the raps for him.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, that is
no,
what I
no,
don't
no.
think.
So
They can
either.
give you the
For
song.
Yeah.
Drake.
For
Drake,
anyone.
Kendrick, whatever.
He
Oh,
might
okay.
take like the bridge or the pre-chorus, like
Oh yes.
like the
Yeah.
thing they're saying
That's why
he
there's
got from
studio
Quentin Miller.
sessions.
Yeah, from
Right.
Quentin Miller. He actually only took like running through the six. If you see the
Right.
parts he take, there's actually just the pre-choruses. It's little tags that he took from the guy's songs.
Yeah.
But the verses are very much still Drake.
Still,
No,
that's
but
what,
there
yeah.
are some that
Are
they
we still
straight
talking
up
about
write
Drake?
for him.
Yeah, I
Like
would
they
say.
are
Really?
some.
Well,
Bar
he
for
is-
bar,
but
line
he
for
is a
line.
pop
But
star.
even he has written for Kanye.
I was about to
No,
say.
well, Kanye is
but
Kanye.
also
Who
in,
said he needs
also in
that?
America, there's a very healthy culture of songwriters. Those people,
Yes, it's a
that's
very
their
much a
full-time
thing.
job. In South
Yeah.
Africa, you can't be a full-time songwriter.
But they have
Because
comedy
then you
writers
can't.
that side as
Yeah, as
well.
well.
Comedy writers
So
as
it
well,
is
yeah.
like,
people's
yeah.
jobs.
Acting
They just
coaches-
have a better structure of it, of understanding that once you get to a certain level, you need to produce so often that no one can do it as one artist. So you
Yeah.
need to outsource so many different things. And they understand that, but also it comes from having had that culture for so many years and refining it. Whereas I feel like ours is still a bit new in certain aspects.
Right.
So we still do have a lot of that. I'm going to do it myself.
And that's what
Right.
makes it new and keeps it new.
And also refreshing language. Like, for example, there's TikTok now. So someone has to teach you TikTok language. Someone has to teach you what will get onto the social media. If I'm at home, I don't know nothing about what people are saying on TikTok.
Yes.
Someone has to tell me this is how things move
True.
in
Yes.
the world.
Interesting, man.
Now, speaking about like narratives and being able to relate to things, right? Because you've played actual like historical figures. like Solomon
Mahlangu.
Mahlangu on Kalushi.
Mm.
So like, what's your like research on that, and do you have other people playing a part of it?
Oh yeah, bro. Like you can't do that by yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah,
Who
that's
Papa
kinda-
action.
You
I've
can't
got the
do
thug
that,
in
what
me.
You know, I think especially with I'm about to play another one now, and this
Yeah.
one's a bit harder because there's so much footage of this next person I'm gonna play now.
Mhm.
So much footage, and I'm
Is the
so,
person still
I
living?
need you to whisper this to me
Nah,
after
it
the
was
show.
like-
Is the person still
no,
living?
they've passed on
They've passed
since.
on.
Okay.
But it's so hard now. I think this is a new
Did
kind
you think
of
it was Cupcake?
I thought so.
Okay.
But you never know.
off camera. I'm gonna tell you the role I was offered to
The
play
more he becomes.
of somebody still alive, which
Right.
I
Yeah.
think I'd still love to play. Would be very interesting. But anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. So with the previous roles, what would happen is because they're like not heroes that were like mainstream known, even though a few people would know them, we'd go to the family. I've never played a real life character whose family I haven't visited, gotten to know. And then I think the ones
Sure.
the films I've done with Mandla Dube, we go to Etunene, Spahle, and do the whole thing and ask for permission to tell the story. We've done that with every single movie with the family there. If it's
Nice.
us updating Ituna, or if it doesn't have a tombstone, then we'll
Mm.
we'll donate to that or something.
Wow.
And just ask for the permission
Oh,
to tell
that's
the story.
beautiful.
That's the
That's
first
very
stage.
That's absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's fine.
And to be honest with you, even selfishly as an actor, as I go there, I pick up when the family starts talking to him, or to the person, I start to hear who this person is.
Yeah.
So I also get to steal immediately there. I'll give you Silverton Siege. They changed the real life character's name, so it's based on real people, but they played around it. And then I remember this: we were with one of the characters that would be based Calvin Kumalo, and his daughters were there, and they're talking about it. And then she was just talking about when her dad, after he died, like all these bodybuilders took, and they were boxers. They took his
Oh,
casket
wow.
and walked it through the township. And I'm like, why were the bodybuilders like? Oh, my dad used to train all the time. And immediately I was like, oh, I know who this guy is now. Okay, this is the guys he hangs with. This is okay.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I'm getting this. The danger with like with someone like I'd ask his brother. I'd ask different people. I get different versions of him. So I'd like, oh, so how is he? And with girls, like I never had any girlfriends.
You're like,
But then I remember his
The
brother
guy
was
there
like
walking
his
through the
father
hood
figure.
like that.
Exactly.
all
yeah.
right.
But now if I go ask his friends, like, of course,
Yeah, yeah.
but do you understand that you only get one side of a human
From one
being
person,
from one
yeah.
person?
Yes.
So you've got to ask 60 different. They all only have one version
Version
of
of
that
it.
person.
Isn't that the coolest, but also like the most weird thing ever? Is that how I experience you is just
Totally
it's just
different.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the next
And
person.
how I experience the other 5 people, it's like, who the hell is you?
But we have to do that to survive because you can't.
Yeah.
We can't speak the way we're speaking now to our parents.
Yeah.
You know, or in a business
Yeah.
meeting or some
Yeah.
business meetings. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I don't always believe in. Yes, there's people who can be disingenuous, but being two-faced is an interesting term. We have to have multiple faces. We wear them in different occasions.
I don't think
I
we
mean,
even
that's
have to
where-
do them like they
They just-
naturally
they kick in at some
That's
point.
where
Yeah.
code switching comes in, right?
Code
Yeah.
switching.
Yeah.
It's a more positive spin and look at it. It's that when you're going into different spaces, you have to change.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
you're not the same person when you're in the hood.
Word.
You're
I'm
not
very
the same
curious
person
now.
in the suburbs.
No,
Yeah.
I'm very curious about it now. Like in your group of friends, because sometimes when I think of my friends, like what part of yourself do you enjoy the most with which friend?
Ooh, that's a
Because
good
sometimes you think of your
good
3 friends, you're like, oh, I like
That's a
hanging
good
out with Panch, I like hanging out with this person, but I really enjoy myself, like the version of myself when I'm with this person.
Yes.
What's the best version of yourself? Like with whom
I don't
does
know
it
if it's
come
a
out?
best because I think
Or
there's
your most enjoyable.
like some people are like, okay, if I want to smoke weed and be reckless, these are the guys I gotta call.
Yeah.
If I want to go in a nature reserve with my partner, these are the people I want to call.
Yeah. No, but I see that. But like,
Yeah.
which of you do you enjoy the most?
Yourself.
When you're
yeah,
there. Ooh.
yourself.
When you're with your friends.
Which version of yourself?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that'd be
yes, you
interesting.
play it for other people, but also other people
yourself,
bring out
yeah,
certain things
of
out of
you.
you, and
Yeah.
you're
And
like,
that's why I feel like there's some people who park in before they get into the house, park for 20 minutes
Yeah.
before they get at home because that's like
you're
the
preparing
least.
to be another person. You're preparing.
That's the least they
You're
enjoy of
de-rolling.
themselves.
You're de-rolling
Yeah.
and you're rolling
Getting
up
into
to
the-
be another
yeah.
person.
And I think
Jesus.
that's a good thing, especially when we come from like either you come from a workspace or corporate space. You don't want to bring that energy into the crib, bro.
Yeah.
Like you might snap at your partner. Meanwhile, it's because Suzanne reported you to your HR or something like that.
Right.
I do think we're talking now, but we're editing a movie, and one of the notes is we need time to breathe between scenes. I
Yeah.
just feel like that's us as people. Like, be careful not to carry the energy from this place. And I think that's what happened sort of to maybe some of our struggle stories. You find it with a lot of war people. that some sadly are abusive to their partners, drink a lot, is because they're carrying the thing, the energy that they had on the battlefield there, and then it has to come into a house. It's like,
that bit I get. The most of the people that park, it's because of who's in there.
Yeah.
It's not what they carried from that side.
It's because of when we're together, the version of myself
you get what I
is
mean?
not
It's
the
like,
one.
I'm de-rolling, I've done the thing, I've gone past the bar.
That's the
I'm
least I
cool.
like.
Then you get there and you see them through the kitchen window. And you're like, fuck.
Le
you gotta address that. Why you know,
I know.
I'm not that guy. I'm sorry, bro.
Right.
No, bro, like your home is the place you're supposed to rest.
Yeah.
True.
But
Like,
again, where we started about the divorce, where that person is not realizing that they don't remember that they used to be friends anymore. There's now an animosity that's happening here, and that's where divorce is needed.
Right.
And then we are actually going to be happy apart.
Do you know, I think it's also us being afraid to have uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
And then we try to like, that's what builds all this weird tension. Sometimes just say, hey, I'm not happy.
Or having the conversations by yourself in your mind.
Yeah, and then you're answering yourself. with that
answering
person.
yourself. And then like your mood, you think your energy is gonna make it all up. It's like,
Just say you're not happy. Okay, well, we're not happy. What? Okay, do you want to give up on this? He's like, I don't know. Okay, what can we do from both sides? Like, I also am not happy about certain things. Can we try apply? Like,
or the reality of that, like, even if you are married or in a committed relationship, you still share the person. And like sometimes the person may enjoy themselves or the person they are with their friend sometimes more than you. And it's a difficult thing to accept that, you know, I shared this person and they still enjoy being with other people.
No, also what you said, that's crazy. That like why a lot of struggle heroes becomes a certain way in the home setting. You know what I mean? Because like you look at even Nelson and all those guys. I mean, that's where you get the term where they say that great men don't make great fathers.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like because what they had to do to be a great man, that fight that you're always fighting.
True.
It's not what you have to bring at home, but you're always on that. I mean, when you've been in prison for 27 years, you've built up a certain thing that you have to be.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think just even with us in our relationships, to your point, that still emerges. Man, I think we need to be, and I think South Africans, we struggle with this.
Relationships.
No, having uncomfortable
Conversations.
I'll give you one example, a conversation we've never had as black people in this country. We never once said we lost and admitted it.
Tell me more.
We never once said that a bunch of white dudes came through here and beat us and that we lost.
A lot.
A lot. I
lot,
think the
yeah.
day
In
we say that
Africa,
out
actually.
loud and just say, no, they beat us, Shem. Okay, but now what?
What now? What?
Yeah.
You know, but because we haven't gotten to that point where we've acknowledged that we've beaten,
And
we were lost,
regroup, guys.
we were embarrassed. We
Yeah.
have to say those things out loud,
Yeah.
release ourselves, and just say, okay, we need to acknowledge. Or and say to
We were
ourselves,
not
right now,
prepared. We didn't know what was going on. Yeah.
then we might just say it. And then, okay, so how did they beat us? Because we outnumber them. You know, like the idea of black people is such a
And
brand
why
new
did they
idea.
come to beat us?
Why? But because we've never acknowledged the defeat, we can't fix the problem. And it goes with our relationships as well. You know, me and my partner have been together for like 8 years. You think it's been like perfect for 8 years? Impossible. You know what I mean? On the times we feel the love is low, we have those conversations like, I think we need to have a chat tonight. And you don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You don't. But then you just sit there, you're like, okay, cool. And you want to get defensive and they want to get defensive. But just, you know what? You keep quiet for now. I'm going to speak. Cool. I'm going to keep quiet now and I'm going to speak.
The love in this home is decreasing. What are we going to do?
No, but for real.
What are we
You have to have it like that.
Like it's not, if you don't do that, we are cheater. You're at work now. You're working all the time. You're just trying to avoid each other. Whereas you can say like, "Yo, we're not smashing. I don't find you as attractive anymore. Okay, why? Whatever. I think this part of you has changed." They're like, "Cool. I don't, you know." And then you're just like, "Okay, because you care about me and I care about you, I think this is something I'm willing to work on. This part, this is who I am right now. So it's either you deal with it or not. You know, those little give and goes.
And also like seeing each other in different versions where it's like, oh my gosh, these 2 years, what the fuck is going on with you?
What has happened? Yeah.
So I think we as just black people need to have uncomfortable conversations. It's the same conversation when Uncle Smang Mang used to touch Sman, but we need to have
We
that
have to
conversation.
talk about those things.
Yo, the day, and that's why white people we think they are rude.
Yeah.
Then you say like, no, my brother's on the street because you know we had the same parents, and I made my law. He can stay on the street. They have these hard, fucked up conversations. But it's kind of the reason why they're pushing. It's kind of like the Asian communities and the Muslim communities. They have, well, in certain respects, have difficult conversations about themselves. fix themselves. I don't.
Or
think
they let people experience their life's consequences.
That's
like
a great
like
expression.
with
Yeah.
black
Yes.
people,
Yes.
we will sit in the small house,
Umden.
11 of us, one person working. We're like, yo, guys,
Hey,
if
bro.
one person is the person working, they need to run so that they can make another home and probably this family's
That's so
name
true.
survives. But like, nah, we rather die, all of us here.
Sidla
The
le-
11
le
like,
12,000 yalo
It's
muntu
like,
eyedwa.
yo, let
Yeah.
people experience their life's consequences. There's
And then
no
you're
way
surprised
else.
when the person who's been working, the only person working, nearly 12,000 yake wants the house.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then we're all fighting. Then all of a sudden there's a murder plot. These are little things about your grandparents' house and stuff like
And
that.
now they can't find a partner because, like, I'm looking at you like, yo, I'm not getting into this 11 situations.
You know what I mean?
This is
So
no
a
way.
team of
Yeah.
Hard conversations. Artists, we don't have hard conversations about like our financial situation. It's, it's why I don't go to awards, and I'll never go to an award.
Really?
Nah, never. I've been nominated many times. I don't go because I feel like it's like catfishing the game.
Right.
You know, I just for me, it's like what do you call this thing? Is SAFTA. You know. Bro, you can win 6 of those
And
that
still no
very
work.
night.
And
The next day you
work.
be in line auditioning with some kid who just came from nowhere. Doesn't change your rates, doesn't change nothing. And then I just like, what? Okay, but then think about that night. That night you booked out a suit or what for
Yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
Like a car.
And what
got
you
a
got is a picture.
photographer.
You got a picture.
You got a picture and now you are in debt.
Yeah.
You don't know where your next
invest
job
no
is coming
money
from.
if there's no money coming back.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just
Just
like
go, take your pants, go there if you do go. But like, don't put money if there's no money coming back from that
From
event.
that.
So I just like so uncomfortable conversations, or even if like a certain streamer invites you to come promote this other show of theirs, like a show from another country, and you wonder like, but when are these guys from this show gonna
promote
come
our
promote
show?
our
Yeah,
show?
yeah.
Like I don't understand. Like if they just tweet about our show here,
Can I just
it'll
tweet
do
about them
huge
as well?
things, you know.
Yeah.
But
I
I'll
mean,
tell you something. You know, being at Censored-Ish is gonna move some things.
Your career's about to change,
It's
bro.
going
Like,
to.
for
I
real,
don't know.
thank
You
you.
thought
You're
the
gonna-
Charlize. Forget
Finally.
Charlize.
Finally.
Censored-Ish.
but talking about difficult conversations, I feel like we have to talk with our black brothers and sisters
Yeah.
in America, New Orleans,
Yeah.
who have Zulu parades
Oh, dog! I saw that.
that you know, they celebrate us in ways that are difficult
To embrace.
to embrace ourselves.
Also, man.
Yo.
Also, sometimes, because is there also like Nigerians involved as well?
No, the Nigerians were going, this is not how South African Zulu people.
Please explain the story because I saw the clip.
Yeah.
Explain the story quickly. What you saw there.
So basically, what happened is they've had this thing for like 100 years. It's a parade, Zulu parade, where they celebrate being Zulu and Zulu things. Except it started in like 1959, and there was not really like a huge Zulu community in America. So they were guessing about a lot of stuff. And the way that they're celebrating it doesn't represent the Zulu culture in any way that it actually exists in.
So, man, it's like for me, it's
It's difficult to control culture and people,
No, but
especially when people move around in the
I
world.
think so too.
Yeah.
This one doesn't touch me as much. I'll tell you why it doesn't. It's not touch me as much. If you've been to America, to cover this one.
Hey, we have HBO deals on the
Hey.
table.
on the table.
Watch yourself. Censored-Ish does not edit.
Hey,
Once you understand that they're so
Put it out.
ask him.
I wouldn't say
Yeah. You get thrown under the bus here, bro. And they leave you. They're like,
cancelled on your own show
on
by your own
by
people.
yeah, they were like, deal with that, then come back. We'll be right here.
You know, okay, the idea of a black people is brand new. Like now.
Yeah.
That's how they beat us, right? Because
Yeah.
we weren't black people, we were Sotho, Tswana, Tsonga. So all they had to do was beat the Sotho.
Yeah.
Then beat the Tsonga, beat the idea of that we were one
divide and
people is
conquer.
very new. If we did think like black people, there's no way that the white people would have colonized us. Impossible.
Even the numbers
Yeah.
would not make sense.
But we always think like we never thought of ourselves as one homogenous group. We were Hutsi, we were Tutsi, we were like, we're different tribes.
Yeah.
That's why, and we were
100%,
fighting each other.
yeah,
Like,
we
you
were
know?
busy also.
Yeah, we also they wouldn't just wait for Jan van Riebeeck and his
No,
friends to like
we were
pitch up, like,
busy.
you know. So I think as a result, we need to be cognizant of in America the term black people really for me came as a result of racism, but mostly the ideology that we think of it now is actually a Black American idea. And it comes from people who have been removed. They can't track their tribe they're from. They can't track that. So they had to create something to put themselves, and they're all from different tribes, different places, right? To put themselves under. So they will grab, that's why they've got names like Shaniqua, and those aren't real names, you know? But there's a way for them to reach back and try to, and I think when they, like, we speak about Zulu, we forget that there's like, you know, in hip hop, Zulu, Bambata and all those guys, and the Zulu tribe, the hip hop guys, they just heard whispers about who the kings that they were. They heard whispers about this great warrior tribe, and they just took that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to fight about that, then you need to talk about the Spartans. They've been romanticized till Kingdom Come. Nothing that you think about of Spartan culture now is accurate.
So much more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think it's
from.
okay. They've mythologized it. We can say to them, hey, by the way, this has nothing to do with Zulu. Like, and I saw those tweets. The people like, we know that.
Yeah.
It just started like this and it became this thing. We're doing that. If we want to fight them, we can go fight them. But then we must also stop saying the N-word in South Africa because we don't say the K-word.
Oh.
Yeah, so then we must also...
What rhymes with the K-word? What rhymes?
So I'm not too shook about that, but I'll say this. To see a people really crave to connect to themselves. I mean, Black Panther.
Yeah.
Black Panther is their movie. That's got nothing to do with Africans.
Yeah.
I mean, even at the end, the hero there is the American guy with the cool hair. He's the king. Literally gives up. Oh, I hate Black Panther. The storyline as an African. At the end, he's like, no, please take all our resources and come. The next movie, the entire Wakanda is destroyed in war. I'm just like, which one?
Who didn't see this coming?
What's happening here?
That's the reason why you stayed around for so long. You didn't let anybody come in.
It was Cat Williams to say, I don't think this is a good idea. This ain't gonna work out the way you think it is.
So I think they...
How do you
I
even
don't
begin
mind.
to fight such things? Like, I feel like it's so difficult to control.
But,
Not that
for
we
me,
shouldn't, but it's just difficult.
For me, it's a simple Google search. Do you get what I mean? Like, I get it
Now,
in the 90s.
but 100 years ago?
Yeah, in 100 years, I get that. When we are now here, then also for me, it goes back even to the Tyler situation. Tyler, yeah, when you know,
when they understood
it's like
okay,
not wanting to see beyond you. It's okay to Google search and say,
yeah, that's fair.
"Oh, okay, this is how it is." We get that's how it started, but this is how. Okay, maybe we can. That's respect for a thing.
Yeah.
Did you get what I'm saying?
It's
America
like saying
is like,
you don't
make it make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like
my
saying you don't want to
world.
stop doing blackface but we've been doing it for so
Right.
nice, it looks
So that's
nice
the
on
thing.
Halloween.
And even
Yeah.
even with that,
True.
blackface is such a thing in the States, but that Zulu thing, they've got
Blackface,
you're black
that's
already,
really- and you're still putting
and you're
black
still
on-
putting blackface.
That was
So
crazy.
also for me, it's beyond
No, you
that.
that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The African booty scratch, the way they talk about us as
They don't fuck
Africans,
with
or-
us.
they don't.
And I tell them
But
that
they
that's
also want to reconnect.
Right.
Yeah.
So even now, there's a
It's a
huge
thin line.
conversation of we are not Black American.
Yeah.
I mean, no, we're not
Oh,
African
yes,
American.
yeah.
So there's such a disdain for us.
No, they do.
And then you look at that and you say, no, man, I see what you're doing.
Is
You
it not the
could have-
same white thing that people do of like want to adopt black culture, but only for the cool things and not the reality of
It's a
black
bit of
people?
that.
And
But
then
it could be a bit of
and then
that,
black
yeah.
Americans also, I want to adopt some African things, but only for the cool
For
part
the
of
cool,
it.
yeah.
And then it's
So
not
for
cool,
me, it
then
was
no.
like,
I hear you. It's a valid point.
yeah, you could Google this and say,
Yeah.
oh, you pay you. Okay, this is how it's worn. Sharp, and make those tweaks. Then we're having
Yeah.
the thing. You know, yeah.
I think maybe that the catch is, again, be careful. And I agree with what you're saying, specifically about Black Americans. I think because they've been so insulated from I think where we lack understanding of their ignorance is also we have to remember the historical journey they've traveled, plucked from home, pushed into slavery, and then indoctrinated heavily. By the way, they're still the minority in that place.
Yeah.
So the indoctrination isn't going anywhere. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to change. It's not like here in South Africa where we're largely homogenous in a racial perspective and our cultures are similar. If we change an ideology, it will implement. No, with them, the ideology is still a white Christian ideology that still reigns supreme. That being said, we have the same problem with xenophobia, right? It's the same thing. Like, we have a misunderstanding of the rest of the continent. Because in apartheid, they didn't want us hanging with liberated nations. So they ensured they kept us in there. Ensured
100%.
that's why the way we think of, a foreign national or whatever, has got this weird connotation. Meanwhile, if you actually track history, like, wait, all those people were like Ghana was liberated 80 years ago, Nigeria, they were like the peak of the world. How didn't we not know that? If you research now and all the advancements they've made. But because we suffer from the same thing is what I'm saying to you. It's like we suffer from the exact same thing they suffer from.
Right.
We're just not aware of it. And it's about education. But the best way to educate both Africans in terms of the art and them is using art. Making a Shaka Zulu that they can watch. You're busy trying to tell them, let them watch Shaka Zulu. Then like, oh, this is the Zulu people.
Yeah.
Because preachings are going to help. Or if you want them to understand colors, okay. Take some colored art. Sadly, we've only got gangsters and stuff. Misrepresented.
Take them to the Cape Flats.
Yeah, but that's such a misrepresented
Misrepresentation.
group of
Very,
people.
very
That's why
much so.
Tyler is such an exciting element.
That's why they also want to reject Tyler because it's like, yo, where is the violence?
Yeah, but we're like, no, colored people come out like this as well.
Yeah.
You know, they are such, just like us, we come out like this as well
Yeah,
and
like
like this
that.
as well. And white people. To say, oh, white people are racist. is
In
not
all
accurate.
the genres of human beings, there is always the Brakpan and then there's always censored.
To quote Chris Rock, there's black people and
There is
N-words.
No, people vary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a family sometimes.
Yeah.
In the
Facts.
same family. It's like, whoa, gosh.
facts.
Everyone is living their own lives here.
Look, my people.
Everybody has their
Test
own father.
Yeah, choice assorted.
Everybody's living their own lives.
Yeah.
So I think for black people, I think all of us, diaspora included, we need to be a bit more patient with each other. We're still grappling with this idea that we're one group of people because we're not.
Yeah.
It's like when you say Asians, do you know how many different types of Asian people exist and their religions and customs are so completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even white people. You know, there's the Irish who don't and the Scottish who don't like the British. When I went to
Yeah.
Scotland, I'm like, you guys are like us. You're like, you hate these guys for you know?
Right,
Yeah.
So I think we need to be patient.
And patient with your generation. as
Tribalism
well.
is worldwide.
100%.
It is.
Yeah.
100%.
But I feel, in as much as you're 100% correct, what I think these other races have done well is that's between them. When it's time outside, like white people don't castigate each other publicly. It's not a
That
When
Chris
it's time
Rock.
to go to get
My
land, we
parents
go
taught me
together.
you don't
Yeah,
fight in front of white people.
right. You know, that's not their thing. You know what I mean? We are very open about, you know,
Yeah,
these-
this
is that, yeah.
Me,
Them-
staying house and
Yeah.
they're stealing, yeah.
because look at all of them, like what you're mentioning, they don't like each other. But when it came time to divide Africa, they agreed.
Yeah.
Like,
Set
all
it
right,
up
sharp.
together,
Yes.
We've
When
got, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
feel like for us as black people, we don't have an agenda. Like I've always said, the one thing that holds us back, we've got no agenda. You know, women are doing it now, right?
Oh,
What's their
shit.
agenda? Getting educated, getting
Oh,
data.
shit.
They have an agenda and they're moving and they're getting high positions and earning. Us as a race,
Yeah, no,
we don't. We're just
But it's
Are
just-
white people the Avengers? When it's time to go in, they just assemble.
yes,
They
Whatever
do.
it
Oh
takes.
shit!
whatever it takes.
Go,
Whatever it
Power
takes.
Rangers.
Whatever it takes.
But everybody, I mean, you forget that the first people the first people we can record in history to colonize were the Arabs.
Mhm.
To colonize Africa were the Arabs.
And they
then
gather.
They came through hard.
Yeah.
And we even had practiced Islam, right? now,
Right.
you know? Then the Portuguese, the way they came in, they were the next wave and they were trading and we like treated them like trash. Then they just like peeped our game. They're like, these guys are powerful, but they're not together.
Yeah.
And I think that's still the narrative till this day.
Mhm.
We still affect culture, we still affect commerce, we still affect science, whatever, but we're not together.
We're not
can't get
together.
together.
Yeah.
Imagine the United States of Africa. Fantasize
Yo.
about that for a second.
Ah,
Yeah.
every
But
day,
then you
bro.
gotta think
Who's going to
someone
be
is gonna
the
be there like then we're gonna have to Mazulu nama Nigeria kuzomele.
Yinking,
Athandane.
But bayathandana, vele.
That's undone of it. Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about all of
Kuzomele
us. Is
publicly.
back at our homes, you can give. If you serve us food, you play the music, you watch an Hollywood movie. Here's the thing about so weird about our xenophobia in this country. It's only when there's an unemployment issue that we remember
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
But day to day, here we are eating jollof with everybody, eating the fish, listening to the music, with everybody. We get along, and day to day, we get along with each other every day, you know. But then when there's which is also sometimes I think about our xenophobic attacks seem like they're triggered.
Oh, Thabo Rametsi has said that.
He said, I
very
think so
well.
too. There's
I mean, like
some
but also it makes sense a bit like resources, food. As soon as someone feels like someone is going to take a food, even if it's an imaginary food,
yeah, that's the thing.
even if it's a food that they've just heard there was going to be a food,
Yeah.
they're going to fight for it.
That's what Biggie was saying, that certain people are weaponizing
I think they
xenophobia
are.
and you
Yeah.
don't see it.
Right,
They're
right,
going, I didn't do my job to provide how I should have for the community. but I'm just gonna blame
These
Yeah,
group of people.
yeah.
this group of people.
Yeah.
And it's a thing that's existed for years and years.
yeah.
And it's
Hitler and the
easy for
Jews.
people to,
Yeah.
to
Hitler and the
follow.
Jewish
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it's all you do. It's just a
that's
very
true.
easy way to unite people against
Common
another
enemy.
Against
people.
against-
And
yeah.
very, very easy because like, look, it's this one doesn't look
Yeah,
like me.
me.
And it's like, oh, you
Oh,
look
yeah, I bet it
different.
doesn't look
Yeah,
like you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the fact that he's like the Nigerian professor who's one of the highest math brains in the whole of the world.
Yeah.
We have, and he claims South Africa as his place, as his home.
As
You
his
should be
home, yeah.
honored, you know.
Mm.
But you're right. I think that's and I do think it is targeted because the idea of Africans coming together every time the idea African, whether it's Sankara, Thomas Sankara, whether it's Gaddafi, whether it's Patrice Lumumba, every
Chris
time
Hani,
Chris
today,
Hani, every
32
time
years.
32 years was murdered.
He
You know?
was murdered
Oh, yeah,
today,
yeah,
32
yeah.
years ago.
Man.
Every time someone comes with an idea of us coming together, they get brutally killed and like in a public way.
Yeah.
Don't you think that creates a fear in the next to try something and then further, then our division it goes further because then it's like
Yeah.
if I do stand up, they're gonna take
Yeah.
me down.
But then also for me, it comes back to that agenda thing, right? Where another one of our problems, like I think Jill Scottman, I remember in one of the interviews, and she was like, real revolutions happen in the dark.
Absolutely.
We are very open with everything we do. We let it out. Do you know what I mean? So even that whole thing of let's unite should not be a public thing, right? We should talk about it, and then boom, it pops up, and it's now a thing.
So where do we do it? WhatsApp? What do you think?
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
It's
Like,
possible. We can gather for Groove. Why can't we gather
yeah,
for
Yeah.
WhatsApp, what? Because we're so out there with our talent, our information,
We don't
our
weaponize and strategize.
we don't
Yeah.
strategize.
You drop the mixtape, but you haven't done the marketing plan. You haven't done the business plan.
Right,
So the
right,
talent
right.
is there. You're excited to get it out the way, but where's your rollout? Where's your
Right.
idea?
Someone is gonna come and say, "Oh,
thank you.
mixtape."
Right. I'll give you a practical example. Chinese cars right now.
taking up
That's
40%
a
of the
plan.
market.
Yes, that's not an accident.
Yeah.
They said, okay. And the governments are involved to say, yo,
Yeah.
we need to roll this out.
Yeah.
That's a plan. That's now everyone is like all the German, they are panicking. They don't know what's happening. There was no, we're going to launch. It
No-
just
no
happened.
warning.
No warning.
No warning.
Boom.
No facts.
And that's how we should be moving, I feel, as a
I
people.
mean, just addressing our basic needs should be the agenda. For
Yeah.
example, we don't have a car that we manufacture ourselves. So if people stop selling us cars, what would happen? We don't have a cell phone that we manufacture ourselves. If cell phone, that's why when people tell me we've got unemployment issues, I'm just like, we consume the most. We have the most cars on the continent.
Yeah.
We've got the most. We actually produce all the cars for the southern hemisphere in our factories. We still got the
Oh,
VW stuff like
shit.
that. Yeah,
We put them together.
we put
Yeah.
them together. We
assemble
manufacture
them.
them. And we assemble them here.
Yeah.
So we've got the skills and the talent,
Yeah.
and then we're giving these other cars our cool names like Vrpa. Why isn't that a South African car?
Yeah.
Why aren't we putting that branding, that association to something we've created? You know, instead of waiting for like taxis. The fact that the Quantum only exists in South Africa. It was made by Toyota, a Japanese company.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, there's a market here. We
There you
never
go.
once thought about creating
Yeah.
our own ones, and then
Yeah.
like, I'm like,
Yeah.
And we use it so well, and it fits so well in our community.
my greatest criticism of the liberation government. Is,
Oh, you've got a list?
Yes.
My greatest.
Greatest. Oh, yeah.
number one in the
Hey,
list.
he has played a struggle hero twice.
Oh my goodness.
My greatest criticism is not the corruption, not even the murder, theft, rape, all of that stuff like that. It's none of that. The greatest criticism I have is their pure lack of ambition.
That's it.
Damn.
It is startling how their lack of ambition is. They don't even care to be number one at anything.
Right, right.
You don't
right.
want to be the best, motherfucker.
Right, right,
Like
right.
you don't want to be number one.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Like you
right.
really?
You're
And there's
done?
room
This
for
is-
that.
this is it for you?
Yeah, like you, and then you see the raw materials are there. Whether it's sports, you see, oh, this our Bafana one AFCON. Oh, our sprinters are doing this. Oh, our scientists are at the forefront of heart surgeries, whatever. You don't look at space or anything like that. You're like, hi man, why aren't we number one? It's not even number one in Africa.
Yeah. You
Never
just
mind.
content.
Just here, just be number one.
You're just content. Because I'm originally, what you've just said, I had a conversation with some guys who were ANC like struggle as well as in Zim struggle.
Yeah.
And separately, but I asked them, I was like, okay, I get what you guys did. What was the plan after? I couldn't get this young man, and then it got diverted. I was like, no, what was the plan? Okay, you've liberated. then what?
Yeah.
What was?
Just sorry to cut you.
Yeah, no, you good.
We had a screening for Robert Mugabe of Kalushi in Zimbabwe, and they flew us through to come. shoot it.
Crazy.
It
What?
was a secret like thing that they had, and it was just the diplomats that had come to the country.
Was he there?
He didn't make it on the night.
Oh,
but he's
that's
that guy.
cute.
Yeah.
Right.
But we sat with all the heads of states and stuff. I think he was quite old at the time, so I
Right.
can understand why he wasn't there.
Yeah.
But we had his right hand man. I forget the guy who was there. Like it was the main other guy. So
Yeah.
we were sitting with these guys. They watched the movie, and this guy from Morocco, Namibia, you name it. At the end of watching Kalushi, they're like, "You see, the one thing about you guys in South Africa, you immortalize your heroes. That's why all of us respect you guys. Like you keep your heroes and you use that to your people. It's like every time we have a hero, we destroy. Like the next party destroys any memory of that to be able to feel like they're the ones. And it's like as a result, our people have no one to inspire them. And then I asked them, okay, so why are you guys doing that? He's like, to be honest with you, we're not thinking about the future. We're all thinking about how we as a party will live for the next 5 months.
Right.
And I'm like, and then what about us? Is like, don't you think we've done enough? When is your turn to like move things forward? When they said that, I stopped being mad at Nelson Mandela because I always felt like there was a narrative that he was, I definitely think it was a double into something. That's my personal weird opinion but I learned to respect something. And I think I had to apologize to the OG and say, even if he did, he kind of earned it. Like he spent his whole 20s and 30s doing this thing.
Yeah.
When are you taking over the journey? Because if you don't do that, I'm gonna like, okay, well, I've done this struggling thing. I want to chill with my family. I want to go be in a nice house, whatever. And I get that. Man.
On to the next.
And then while you're sitting there complaining that I'm not doing anything, I sold you out. What have you done?
But are they passing the baton
That's
of
another one.
leadership?
Yeah.
Leadership
is
is
my
never
question.
passed on, bro. Let's be very
Someone
honest.
has to
bro.
step up to it.
It's
No,
never
so
passed on.
my thing is, I feel like there is a lot of young people who are stepping up and going, "Yo, put me in, coach."
Oh, and they're not
But
releasing.
they're not releasing. They wanna
button,
hold
yeah.
on.
Tell that to
that
Traore. Tell that to Bobby Wine in Uganda, who's taking a lot of, the young president of Senegal. We need to stop waiting for someone to give us our freedom and take the lessons of these guys. The same government yet took
They
it.
took it.
Yes.
So if anything, you should be taking a lesson
Also
from
take
them.
it.
Like, take it.
Gosh.
Like they showed you the blueprints. They said,
Fair.
like, bro, the guys before us did not want to give it to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We took it. So you've got more resources. You've got easier ways of getting together without being tracked.
Yeah.
No one is shooting you. There's no dogs. What the hell? I actually can look at these OGs and I understand them. They're like,
As a black person, first, there's no dogs.
You heard it here
Not German
first.
shepherds.
no dogs.
They're actually your
Oh,
friends.
come on.
Yeah. You own them. You
Your
own
dogs
them.
have medical aid.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Fair,
Back room,
fair.
guys.
Yeah.
Back room.
No,
life.
so you heard it here first. Thabo Rametsi say it's time for a revolution.
Yeah.
Young people.
Starts in the back room.
Start in the
Jenny's
back
gonna
room.
come from
You see what I was about to say? You see how they throw you under? Now you're getting calls tomorrow.
Starts with you.
I still want
And I
to
just
apply for
want to say
10
to
years.
all the ladies, the women, okay? If you find a backroom man, maybe.
Sometimes.
That was actually
Just make sure his pineapple is upside down.
that was actually a dope thing to put out there.
Yeah.
Because there's that misconception that this is how women move and whatever, and to say that it's good, like, to appreciate. I'm saying it now in my sets.
Yeah.
Like it's as black men, we need to learn to loudly appreciate our women.
Yeah.
I-
And not
yeah,
be
yeah.
fixated on like, but the men, what are we gonna do? Marriage is breaking down, the loneliness of men. I'm like, what's your agenda?
Right.
Oh, this black family, black family nucleus thing is such a deep thing, and I've just got married and had a kid. But this idea, women only want us for our money. I just always question whenever guys complain. I'm like, show me the kind of women you're into. Whenever someone says, women they only want dollars, whatever.
I don't feel sorry for anyone.
Yeah,
Like,
I
had this
don't.
conversation with
I'm
you.
like,
Exactly.
I've never had that
Why are you
problem.
dating?
Why are you
And
dating?
also, if I give birth to your kids and you don't have money, the whole of society is like,
Why
why?
are you broke ass motherfucker?
Yeah,
You know,
Take care of yourselves, guys.
yeah.
Fire, bro.
Remember,
Great, guys.
scrubs, no scrubs. Sing the song, damn it.
Gosh.
See you next time.
Fire, bro.